Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Edward Perez, and I stand here today to prove that the glass ceiling exists. For those who may or may not know what the glass ceiling is, it's defined as the unseen yet unreachable barrier that keeps minorities and women from rising the upper rungs of the corporate ladder, regardless of the qualifications or achievements. I will prove my position with the two following secondary claims. The gender pay gap, and it being all the more difficult for women to be hired, shows that the glass ceiling exists. So starting with my first secondary claim, the gender pay gap reveals that the glass ceiling exists. I want to start with the Equal Pay Act. That states, no employers have employees subject to any provisions of this section shall discriminate within any establishment in which such employees are employed between employees based on sex by paying wages to employees in such establishment at a rate less than the rate at which he pays wages to employees of the opposite sex in such establishment for equal work on jobs, the performance of which requires equal skill, effort, and responsibility. What this is basically saying is that no employee can be paid less than another employee based on sex or when jobs require equal skills. On to my, so according to Forbes, they uncovered evidence that women are still struggling to fill leadership roles since the their studies commencements in 2012 have consistently uncovered clear evidence of discrimination. In 2017, females can expect to earn 75% of man's salary. This difference has persisted throughout the years of their research. So then, the National Women's Law Center states that among workers with a bachelor's degree or more, women typically make 75 cents for every dollar men make. To wrap up all the evidence for my secondary claim, the evidence shows we have an Equal Pay Act in effect that prevents employers from paying employees less than others when similar tax and jobs are in play. Yet we still have statistics that reveal a pay gap between men and women. On my my last and final claim, it being difficult for women to be hired reveals that the glass ceiling exists. The Penn State University reveals that states what blocks women from a higher level position is that they are seen as the majority family caretaker. Women are hindered by having to take maternity leave to recuperate from childbirth. This idea that corporations / businesses use maternity leave to weigh their decision in hiring a woman proves that the glass ceiling exists because maternity leave affects only women. According to the National Women's Law Center, they also state that numerous research studies show that compared to men, women are less likely to be hired, particularly for high wage jobs, or are likely to be offered lower salaries. For example, a recent experiment revealed that when presented with identical resumes, one with the name John and one with the name Jennifer, science professors offered the male applicant for a lab manager position a salary of nearly $4,000 more, additional career mentoring, and judged him to be significantly more competent and hireable. This proves that the glass ceiling exists because not only did the women not receive the manager position in which they were both qualified for, the male counterpart received $4,000 more to his salary. Thank you.
All right, Edward, the proposition's very clearly stated. It's just a very simple claim, so it's not that complicated for us to pick out what it is you're saying. It sounds like you've got a preview, but when you present it, it sounds like one sentence, and it's actually two different ideas, so you need to be a little bit clearer at the beginning. In the body of the speech, though, you did signpost those points as being distinct, so that was okay. The issue that I see on the first point is that you've got some good information that suggests that there's a pay gap, and you've got information that suggests it's illegal to pay people differently because of their gender. And so you just assume that that's discrimination instead of explaining what other reasons there might be or diminishing those other reasons. And I think that that's going to be problematic. That's going to probably be the place that the respondent's going to find a lot of information to apply this, because there are lots of explanations about differences in pay, except for people who are in the same job. Like you said, you know, if they're working on I'll give you an example. My job, you know, it's not determined at all by anything other than the position that you're in. Nobody gives me a bonus because they think I'm a better person or anything like that. There are private jobs where they do those kinds of things, but a lot of them, they don't have that kind of stuff. The example that you had on the second point I thought was pretty good to illustrate the point, but it's the only piece of information there that you have that demonstrates that. And I think that's a little bit problematic, making a generalization that this is the source of the problem based on this one example where they, you know, ran a test where they had, you know, people applying for a lab manager job. You know, it's a good example. It explains the concept, but the demonstration that that is the source of the problem, I think, is a little thin, and you need some additional information there. All right.